Well, time to pay some bills. Yarr. Listen, man. I'm going to be reacting to a video by Dan VR today. If you don't know who Dan is, he's probably the most funny Deepwoken YouTuber on this platform. I'm gonna keep it real. Now, I don't remember exactly, but I believe Deepwoken did have a drought stage around the time where in verse 1, everybody was duping HP kits. Correct me if I'm wrong though, because I was playing a lot of ABA back then. I was playing more ABA back then than Deepwoken at that current time. So I think that's when it was starting to die out, but I'm not too sure. Let's go ahead and watch Dan's video on it though, man. Oh, so this is gonna be Dan reacting to a video that I'm going to be reacting to.
That's incredibly rare on this game platform.
That's true.
But
that's very true.
As we're seeing right now, the game is losing this precision, which gave it its charm in the first place.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing, not many people seem to care about this. I'm guessing most players.
Chad, do we remember the Dan VR effect?
What's the Dan VR effect?
Do we remember the Dan VR effect? Because give me a fucking second, bro. The decline of Deepwoken. Dan VR. 3 weeks ago, I said everything that I bet he's going to say in this video. Aga reviewed my video live. Didn't agree with a single thing I said. I got a ton of hate
didn't
in
agree?
the chat.
I haven't watched that video, so I don't know.
A ton of hate for this video. And I guarantee that this video I'm reviewing right now, he's going to say the exact same things, and people are going to act like he's a prophet. Like the universe was revealed to him in his fucking bedroom the other day. I'm just saying, bro. That's the power of editing. If you put it together enough, the short IQ
Yo, this motherfucker got no filter. I ain't gonna lie.
Lap monkeys will eat it up.
Players have not seen
Damn,
the game's
Dan.
upbringing.
What's your room talking about,
A ton of you
twin?
didn't play verse 1, and I wish you did. Because it's so hard for me to convey
Is Dan in a dorm, or is that his house? And bro, what is that on his bed?
Just found this game like it is right now.
I'm paying attention to the wrong things, I ain't gonna lie.
And we're fine with it. Without knowing why it stood out from its countless anime elemental battleground looking ass peers in the first place.
Yeah.
But I have been here since the Dark Ages, and as we know, people see that as the game's...
Dude, it was fucking rough. Like the summer of 22.
The summer of 22?
Oh my God.
Yeah, okay, so I was right, because that's when I was playing a lot of ABA. I wasn't playing no Deepwoken. I was only making progression videos.
Terrible meta. No YouTubers. No devs.
That's facts. I ain't gonna fake.
It was bad, man.
Early beginnings. It's sort of beta state. Layer 2 is where the game really started. And I would agree, the game actually became playable. The quality of light changes.
Honestly, verse 1 was like open testing. For the people who played verse 1, we were open testers. We were pretty much finding out what worked, what didn't, like the broken build interactions, the issues with progging. We were testers. And then verse 2 is really when the game came out. A lot of people don't talk about it. They did a lot more in verse 1, is that the open secret that Deepwoken was rushed in the last months of development. Like, we got it way earlier than we were supposed to.
That's true. That is true. So, you might be thinking, okay, but Nano, you were testing the game for 2 years. Why was the product apparently rushed? That was because Deepwoken, from month 1 all the way up until, like, the month before release, it was a whole different game. Like, to parry in the game, you had to press F and M1. There were no dodge frames. The card system wasn't even implemented until 1 month before release. We were playing a whole different game. The progression was different too. So they decided to revamp everything a month before release. Release CC to people. CC is closed community, by the way. It lasted for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then public release happened. Now, I think a lot of people didn't like public release because of the Roblox particle issues. If you don't remember, when the game first released, you couldn't see fire particles. You couldn't see a lot of things. And then on top of that, it attributed to lag apparently. So the game was super laggy on top of not being able to see particles. And it was just terrible, bro. So I think if Roblox didn't have that particle issue, release would have been more smooth. But let me see what Dan has to say about this.
What the game was supposed to look like on release. That was like the more or less confirmed secret. So, yeah, verse 2 was when the game like came out for real. Everything before that, we were just free testers, man, low key.
Yeah,
they started
kind of.
bringing the
I'd
amount
say
of
that,
content
yeah.
and things to do were in the literal sense game-changing. New players started flocking to the game
like
because now at least it was kind of playable. And all players came back because now you didn't need to overcome 20 hurdles to actually start playing the game.
Oh my god, luck farming was so trash in layer 1, verse 1, whatever. That shit was trash.
But then, at the same time when all of this was happening,
overcooked it, maybe.
Then I saw it. What in the fuck is this Kugo Vegeta looking ass? This was the first thing that
fucking Dawn Walker doesn't fit.
Is it really going to lose its only trait and go down the path of bullshit and contrast overload? Let me remind you that like the most explosive thing we had is Rising Flame, and this, in my opinion...
Oh shit. Verse 1. Damn! Massive Shadow Gun and Rising Flame were like the only like crazy
and fire repulsion
in the game. Everything
fire repulsion too.
Relatively
I'm trying to think because those fire builds were going crazy in verse 1 before the nerfs.
Damn.
Was way
I gotta remember though. I can't really remember.
Now I was
big ass fire blade.
Why can you go
Y'all remember that too?
In Deepwoken? I was really scared that the game is going to get ruined and become a mess. The complete opposite of
I think
what made
Ice
it special
Shurikens was busted
place.
too.
And
Ice
I guess
Forge.
I was kind of right.
If I remember,
right.
I don't know if that was verse 1 or verse 2.
Why? Why did all of this happen?
Mr. Krabs, why did you build another Krusty Krab in front of the other original Krusty Krab?
Money!
Well, I have a theory. So when players which know nothing besides over-contrasted, over-tuned
I said
come
this.
to our beloved...
I said this in my video and Aga disagreed. And when he saw this one on stream, he agreed.
...game and react very positively when devs add weeb shit, the devs just add more. Because from their perspective, that's what the community wants.
It's what works. Kari Bros or Rel Games, every single big development studio on Roblox does this. They make 2 or 3 good titles. The fourth
they have to do it though, honestly.
Mainstream
I feel it. I mean, they've been uploading. They've been updating every week.
Fucking kids they like slop. And it makes a ton of
kids
money.
do like that, but I mean, they've been updating every week for like the past year and a half now.
Ritual, bro. Fucking blood tide.
They gotta add whatever they can. I'm gonna be honest.
Really what the game needs?
Flame repulsion. It's the size of a spirit bomb.
Maybe it's what the ADHD kids want, but if they keep adding these features and mechanics, Deepwoken is just going to become the same mush as everything else on this platform. Even though the game was way more playable now, I started feeling that the charm was fading. The game felt so much more alive. The influx of new players, the new things to do besides fucking farming luck was great. But let me remind you
luck was
that
trash.
many others went through all of that shit in the Dark Ages just to get a chance to play the game. Because it was so fucking good and clean. Now
I wish you... I already said it. I wish you guys got to play verse 1. There wasn't as much content. And it had its problems, but oh my god, it felt good. Like, it felt good. When you won a fight, it felt amazing. And when you lost a fight, it didn't hurt all that bad. Because they were just better. And people talk about the balancing in verse 1. I will die on this hill, and I will not let any single fucking person get away with saying that. Because it's the most disingenuous argument. A lot of the balancing in verse 1 is because no one knew it existed. Like I said earlier, we were like pretty much all testers. Like shit like No Life King Condition Runner. Nobody knew that you could do that. The testers, the devs, nobody knew you could do that until somebody did it. So 99% of the broken mantras and the broken like builds in verse 1 is because that was the first time someone ever did it. Nobody knew to nerf it. Nobody knew that interaction existed. Nobody knew it would be that broken. And afterwards, the devs were really good. Like, if something was found, like, that was game breaking or super broken on, like, Wednesday, that Friday, it was gone. They were real quick about it. Verse 2, we all know something's broken, and we say it's broken for months, and they still don't fix it. The Rosen's Hellflame. Why does that exist? It goes through block, it goes through parry. Even when it doesn't, it's a frame 1 animation, so you can't react. And we've said it's broken for weeks. And it's not been nerfed. Verse 1 was unbalanced because it was new, and nobody knew. It was a new beast. We didn't understand what it was, and we were finding out new things every single day. Verse 2 is unbalanced from sheer incompetence. People will say something is broken. The devs will know something is broken. The testers will test something and say it's broken, and it still gets added to the game. It still doesn't get nerfed. Sometimes it gets buffed. Ignorance is not the same as incompetence.
From my time testing the game for the whole verse 1 and some of verse 2,
you do it the worst.
I feel like
they are not the same.
Their nerfs, like when it comes to nerfing shit,
each time
they took like the same amount of time to nerf stuff, to be honest.
All this shit on my screen.
From my experience,
getting ragdolled all over the place first second I entered combat.
Because NOK Conditioner Runner took a good minute. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's.
I told Rag about that, and it took a minute to get that nerfed. I'm not gonna lie.
While I can't see anything because I'm looking at the Sydney Firework Festival on my monitor.
Mage woken, get lit.
Actually, now that I look at it, is a great example of it's cool, so kids like to use it, but it's not good for the game. The first light crit genuinely isn't even that good. Like the amount of I can't really think of the amount of times I got repeatedly hit by those falling swords, and I was like, "Wow, that's OP." It's just cool looking and mildly annoying.
Oh, it's his cat.
Even for everybody.
Like, see his cat on the back.
I'm mad that I just used my crit and it hardly hit the other person. If I'm fighting it, I'm mad that my screen is a fucking mess. It's cool though, so kids like to.
Yeah, this mage meta is trash. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all.
She's meowing at nothing.
It's beatable, but it's still trash.
What the fuck is going on?
But that's because I'm also on like average ping.
Yes, it does.
I wouldn't be complaining as much with all this stuff if I played on a constant 20 ping.
It was all about that goddamn precision. Who clicked F better? Won. I'm not saying that skill expression in this game is totally gone. It just feels like the whole fight is based around who will get the cheesy hit in first and snowball their combo. Whilst the guy getting comboed...
Yeah. It's even worse than that now. I have a unique experience. I'm not the best player, but technically I am among the ranks of the top 250 players. The best 250 players.
Okay, Dan, I see you.
You don't see a lot of the combos.
Hey, check my stats. It's about to be on the screen.
You just see people sustaining. They just go to storm. You don't try to kill your opponent. You just try to take less damage than your opponent, and then they die to storm or they die to nonsense, which is somehow even worse than getting like ABA comboed, which is
just praise and
I hate fights like that too, bro. Where they just sustain until the storm.
And your opponent are both low level, only have a couple of mantras and shitty gear. That's when I feel like the game shines. When each player gets a fighting chance, making every parry and decision matter. And not like we have it now, where... Whoops.
I'm not gonna hold you, bro. If you lost to Silent Heart Curve Blade, that might have just been a skill issue. Would you knock it off?
Oh, a Silent Heart Curve Blade's trash?
So dramatic, bro. Can you hear her meowing?
I guess it is trash because you're putting Gale Breath for no reason.
You act like I don't feed her, like I beat that cat mercilessly.
Hey, yo.
She lives like royalty.
Besides the developers adding lots of weeb stuff, which is its own sort of bloat, there's other bloat in the game too. I wouldn't say it's the classic feature bloat because this is an open world game and you can learn and take in the game at your own pace, but it's
open world game. Yeah, everything is instance now, man. The open world is just a relic of what Deepwoken used to be. It's like a...
That's because it's trash though, like the ping.
Era.
It's like y'all gotta fix the ping in them servers.
Not overworld.
Respectfully,
you want to be doing.
The overworld is just so terrible when it comes to
the overworld is for
stabilization and ping issues. That's my opinion though.
Stat or big number bloat, maybe power creep. I don't really know, and it doesn't really matter how I call it. Basically, too much everything. Too much damage, too much HP, too much resist, too much AoE, too much lifesteal, too much ether. You get the idea. I can kind of use League of Legends as an
and I said that, and guess who disagreed?
Example here, because the Deepwoken devs are using it as an example too. League is dealing with the same problem, where you can one-shot an entire team with one spell, or heal for a gazillion health for zero reason. Pretty much the same thing that we...
I tried to say this before. Conquest is modeled after League of Legends. So I kind of want y'all to get into the headspace of like what to expect. The company that made League of Legends, Riot, with billions of dollars at their disposal, cannot balance the game. It's a fucking mess. 90% of the people who play League absolutely hate it, but are completely addicted. And the Roblox developers are gonna do it better than the multi-billion-dollar company that invented the game mode, the genre, essentially. Yeah, man, be one thing if you were making a game like Smite or Dota, but even then, those are pretty fucking advanced MOBAs as well. But, sure, man. It's going to be great when it comes out. It's going to be so balanced and so fun. We're all going to love it.
Bro, y'all even going to play Conquest?
So League's case,
I'm probably going to play for like one day.
And the devs listen,
because like,
to get it fixed.
I don't know.
It's amount of work, of course.
Yep.
But obviously, they didn't fix the problem. Because it's Riot. You might as well be talking to a wall. But my point is...
I feel like Conquest from Rogue Lineage was more fun
the only way
from what Deepwoken's Conquest is sounding like
upcoming updates or info or lore or really anything. The only way you would know anything of value is if you are a mod, a content creator, or someone who has devoted your whole life to the game. Like 90% of the community has no fucking idea what's going on. There is such a lack of transparency on even the most basic of issues that you just don't know what the fuck is ever happening. You have to be like clouded. And even then, we don't really know what's going on. It's just randomly, sometimes Ark would go into the CC chat and just drop like random leaks or tell us random shit. And it's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, nobody knows. There's so little transparency and communication at all. They need like a PR manager or something. I don't fucking know. Because it's crazy. Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody talks at all. The only time you find something out is when a YouTuber talks about it or when it enters the game. Otherwise, most of you guys have no fucking idea what is going on with the devs. Not a clue.
Is that this has been a problem for other games too.
Oh my god.
And in this case, with Deepwoken, the developers actually listen and do their jobs more than the multi-billion-dollar company. The most obvious case of this in the actual game I can bring up is the addition of tempo, venting, and parry cooldown. This completely, and I mean completely, changed how the game's combat worked. At the time, the game was dealing with the alleged problem of parry trading.
Alleged. Most of you, no hate, fucking suck at the game.
Hey,
As Archmage and Agamotsu have said themselves, the vast majority of the game sucks at PvP. No one was getting into these parry trades. Are you just lying to yourselves? You think we're stupid enough to believe that? Maybe 20 to 30 people in verse 1 were capable of the never-ending parry trade. People are better now. The average Deepwoken player now is probably 40 times better than the average verse 1 player. And you telling me that they can't even parry now when it's easier? And the ones back then that are 40 times worse with an easier parry system? You're telling me that they were at god status? No! Who are you fooling? Nobody could fucking do these combos. You got like Misery, Lancelot, and then Drag got combos. Nobody else was capable of that. And even then, Drag was still 5-barring these people. So clearly there was still an incredible level of skill expression even in the old system. This was such a stupid fucking idea. It doesn't work, by the way. Rant over.
And Ether.
I don't get it. So is Dan trying to say that pairing is easier now than back then? Because if he's saying that, I don't agree with that. If you didn't know, in verse 1, every single time you got hit, your parry cooldown would reset. So you could parry again. That's why these infinite parry trades would actually exist. Because if you ever missed a parry in verse 1, don't worry, you can just press F again and parry. Defense was super strong, and that's why Drag was 5-barring those people. That's not to say Drag was garbage or anything, he just understood how that worked. I would say Drag was the best verse 1 player. But when he came into verse 2 and fought me, he couldn't win, right? And granted, he didn't really play the game much anymore, but I made sure to capitalize off of every single time he would whiff a parry. And because he's so used to the layer 1 combat, I keep saying layer 1, my fault. Because he's so used to the verse 1 combat, he just thought he could just press F again after missing a parry. You can't do that. And then on top of that, in verse 2, if you do miss a parry, you're forced into block frames. That's why sometimes whenever you get Nevaeh critted and you try to parry it, you'll just get guard broken instead. Because the game forces you into block frames. Or if you get like Shatter Katana crit on and you miss the parry timing on it, and then even if you do let go of F, you still get guard broken. Because the game forces you into slight block frames after whiffing a parry. In verse 1, that didn't exist. So if you missed a parry, you would just take the hit. But since you took the hit, you could parry the next attack because your parry was off cooldown. So parrying was easier in verse 1 and defense was too strong. And then to also top it all off, verse 1 had a shorter parry cooldown than verse 2. Now this doesn't mean that verse 2's combat is better than verse 1.
Management. So they decided to pretty much change the whole system that has been working well for the...
It worked perfectly. It worked perfectly. And the high level combat, bro, that was straight up 20 to 30 people that could consistently parry like that. And even then, I mean, the footage the devs used to justify it was a Deep League match. Even then, the Deep League match that they were using, Misery versus Lancelot, I'm pretty sure it was Misery that went like 3-0 undefeated in that matchup. If you
Misery's
were the
drag
best
skilled,
players,
right?
you still win.
This dude was the best player and had the best skill. That's crazy.
It wasn't parrying forever. It's the greatest psyop ever sold to the Deepwoken player base. You're bad at the game now. You really think that you were going to do better back then? Like, whatever, bro.
This dude danced
Whatever.
funny. Hey, they could have been, bro. It was 2 different combats.
They revamped the whole system,
you know,
and added a completely new stat, tempo. It was supposed to be a fix for the parry trading issue by adding a parry cooldown, allowing
Tempo
for more
makes it
comboing
worse.
opportunities. But also adding a venting
Yeah,
feature
tempo
at a
didn't do
cost of
anything
tempo
to
get
the
out of
parry
said
trading thing.
combos,
Half the
so you
time
don't take a
venting
nap
doesn't
mid-combo
work.
like in other games. People were kind of skeptical
Anything aerial involved, venting doesn't work. They just continue to beat the fuck out of you.
about this change.
That's a problem,
Wouldn't say
too.
They were displeased, but not very happy
Like,
either.
I wouldn't
it was
be-
just kind of meh. But one thing that I didn't mention
I wouldn't
is that
be
they also mixed tempo
annoyed.
with
What
feature,
the f-
which I personally
bro,
don't
what is this guy's
understand
edit?
why. I remember people
Yeah, it doesn't
celebrating.
I wouldn't be
that Mage builds are
annoyed
finally going
about
to be no
tempo
more. And you can't
if it
just
actually
run around
worked
and
against
spam
all
it.
No more mage
situations.
builds.
But if
For
somebody
the
puts you
first
in
two
aerial
directs
attack and you
with
try to tempo
Akamatsu,
out of
no more
it,
mage builds. You're
they
gonna have
won't
to
get
walk
backed
up an
off from
M1
it.
to get your ether back. Yeah, man. That's exactly how it went, guys. Great idea, bro. Good system.
200 yards away. But God, only if they knew what was coming. Before the changes, Ether was a basic combat mechanic like in any other game that you just had to learn. Stopping
This guy is literally me. He has the perfect points. No other game is like this that involves wizards. Everybody has a certain amount of mana, ether, and then the wizards have more of it. They have a larger reservoir of ether, of mana. So they can use more spells than a warrior who has a smaller reservoir of mana, a smaller pool or store of magic. Duh! If you're a mage and you have more reservoir, you can use more mantras because you have a bigger pool of ether to draw from than a warrior with a sword who has a smaller pool of magic to draw from. Like the game was already, what fuck, I want the actual name of the dev specifically that got rid of reservoir because you're a fucking clown, bro. You're so stupid. Both of them could have existed. You could have had reservoir
Oh my God.
and tempo on separate bars. Tempo is in charge of your venting. Reservoir is the traditional ether management. Just
That'd be
tweak it a
pretty
little
cool,
bit.
actually.
Just
I
nerf
like
it a
that
little
idea,
bit.
Dan.
Why do we work in these extremes?
I actually
in this
like that
game where you
idea.
can have one or the other. We know what worked in verse 1. We know what works in verse 2. Bring them together. Why is every debate about balancing either one or the other, all or nothing, black and white? Why? Are you guys children? Are you incapable of higher thought? This gets me mad, bro. This game raises my blood sugar. Unk is about to go to the hospital. I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack.
stopping players from just spamming mantras. With the addition of tempo, it felt like ether was a thing of the past. You got so much of it from just playing the game.
I would want to see the game like that. The tempo bar only being to control your venting, and then bringing back your reservoir bar.
Of this tempo was venting.
That mages would be cooked.
3-hour jail card. But on the other side, ether regen took pretty much none. Meaning if you even had a bit of tempo, your ether bar was probably full. This whole rework allowed you to pick the most powerful mantras and putting a gorillion mantra modifiers on them on any build without really thinking about it. In turn, making pretty much every build now a mage build. Creating clutter and kind of...
You will hear other YouTubers or testers or people say the words no attunement mage. And then their face is just stone no attunement mage.
Bro, what?
Do you hear yourself? How the fuck does that even exist? Are we joking? Did we lose the plot? No attunement mage. And they have no reaction. Are you fucking... How does that exist?
What does that even mean?
How do you know it exists and you're just like, oh yeah, bro, that's part of the game?
Is that actually a thing? Or are they just being stupid? The hell does no attunement mage mean?
Removing the simpler...
You just spam strong left?
I know why. Because it makes the game more popular. And then we make more videos. Money! Why'd you add this? Money! Why does the game feel so miserable, but it's more popular than ever? Money! Like, bro. Pure Keeper. Money!
Mantras because there was no more reason to pick up the letter.
Rosens, money.
Yeah. Hey, dance, bro. Chill, bro.
Just in general, each new update we get a mantra that's flashier and flashier. How far do we need to go until we're charging up fucking Spirit Ball?
Blood Tide Ritual. What like has?
Hey, there's gonna be a new Atheron drop. You kill Atheron, he's gonna drop something. You gonna turn it into the bro. He's gonna give you Atheron Spirit Orb.
Low key.
That's gonna happen in the next 6 months. I promise you.
It's not Spirit Bomb, but Shadow Vortex is legit just Chibaku Tensei, which is like, at least in Naruto, that's like you blow up a whole fucking village, like you kill everybody. So we're not that far off, man. Some of it already exists, just in a new format.
Basically, that update kind of removed ether, and the only thing holding you back was the cooldowns, until you get a shiny gem. The only time you hear the no ether sound now is when you're fighting a...
It just got beamed into my head the moment he brought up ether, because I can already hear it coming. Reservoir didn't work, you could just eat a Frigid Prism and get all your reservoir back. Tell us what happened when they removed that. Tell us what happened when they removed that. The no attunement meta came in 2 days. The moment that they removed that reservoir interaction from attunement items, 2 days later, the no attunement meta. So be honest. Don't be disingenuous now. Don't be misinformed. Tell us all exactly what happened when they balanced reservoir. Whew. Straight to no attunement. Unbelievable, bro.
Against a shadow build. I think these changes were one of the main reasons that the game transitioned from mainly dealing damage from your M1s
I'm so
to
pissed
mainly
off.
dealing damage with fire.
I've got a straw and I tried to
know this
drink
sounds
it.
like an old man reminiscing about the old days when you needed to cross the Atlantic Ocean to play Deepwoken. But in the end, what I'm trying to explain here is that the game is shifting away from the simple, clean combat it once had, where mantras were just a mix-up or a cool combo extender, and you actually still needed to hit them with your weapon, to where mantras and cheese are just the base part of the whole experience. Again.
Okay. So after watching the whole video, I can proudly say that I do agree with this video. I totally forgot in verse 1, you couldn't spam your mantras because you had reservoir. This new tempo system is honestly a mess because if you land mantras, you gain tempo back. I believe you still do, right? So it promotes mages to go even more crazy. I think the fix to this would be Dan's idea though. Just separate your tempo bar and your reservoir bar. It's really not that hard. If you press G, you're still going to vent. With your reservoir bar, it's still slowly going to go down. Nothing's really going to change. And then everything else can be kept the same. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did not like verse 1's combat where defense was too strong. I'm out though, y'all. Dan and bro who made the video made a great video, man. Peace.